Welcome to your deep dive. We are diving into the art of bamboo pruning today. Turning a jungle of bamboo into something, well, a bit more zen. And we've got some great material to dig into.
It's amazing how bamboo can go from 0 to 60 in what feels like a week. It really does need a guiding hand to look its best. And yeah, the sources you sent are full of great tips on how to make that happen.
So one thing that jumped out at me, timing, is everything with this, right? It's not just a free-for-all with the pruning shears.
Right, you don't want to just go in swinging. The sources were clear about that. There's this sweet spot right after those new shoots reach their full height, but like before the branches unfurl.
Oh, so you catch them right before they go wild. Why is that window so important?
Leverage, but not with the tools themselves, huh?
Yep.
It's more about guiding the plant's energy where you want it to go, like giving it a haircut early on so it doesn't get out of control.
Yeah.
Especially key if you're, trying to keep the height in check.
Yeah, bamboo can get a little ambitious if you let it.
Yeah.
So that's the new growth.
Yeah.
What about the mature culms, the ones that have already reached their full height? Any rules there?
It's a bit more flexible with those. The sources said mature culms can be pruned pretty much year-round. They're done growing taller at that point, so you're mostly fine-tuning the shape or maybe thinning things out a bit.
Gotcha. So it's like the difference between, I don't know, shaping a kid's haircut as they grow versus a trim when they're older?
Exactly. And speaking of tools, the sources had a lot to say about that too.
Yeah, it's not just grabbing any old shears from the shed, is it? They got pretty specific.
Oh yeah. Imagine going to a barber who tries to give you a haircut with a butter knife. Not pretty. For most pruning, sharp hand clippers are best, but for those thick culms, you might need a pruning saw. And if you need some serious leverage, those heavy-duty loppers are your best friend.
So it's like the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a chainsaw to trim your hedges.
Exactly, and just as important as the right tool is using it safely. The sources were really big on protecting your eyes and hands, especially with those sharp blades flying around.
Safety first. Always
Yeah.
good advice. Okay, so now we've got the timing down, we've got our tools. Let's talk technique. The sources mentioned a few different approaches. I have to admit, I always thought pruning was a bit more, well, hack away and hope for the best.
There's definitely an art to it. They talked about a few techniques, each with a different visual impact. Thinning, for example.
Thinning, so not just like randomly chopping things off.
No, it's much more deliberate than that. Think of it like, when you have a sports team and you gotta bench a few players so the rest can really shine.
Okay, interesting analogy. How does that apply to bamboo specifically?
So with bamboo, thinning is all about removing culms that are weak or overcrowded or just not contributing to the look you're going for. And this does a few things. It allows for better air circulation, which is huge for healthy bamboo.
So it's like giving your bamboo room to breathe.
Yeah, and that better air circulation helps prevent nasty fungal diseases that just love those damp, crowded spaces.
Like a spa day for your bamboo. I love it. What about the visual impact? What kind of look does thinning create?
So it creates a less cluttered, more visually appealing look. You're letting the beauty of each individual culm shine through.
So thinning is all about creating a more, I don't know, open and airy feel. What other techniques did the sources mention?
Another cool one is the open grove look. It's all about those elegant lines of the bamboo culms themselves. Very minimalist, very architectural.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Very elegant. But what about those of us, and I'm putting myself in this category, who are looking for more of a dense privacy screen? Any techniques for that?
Absolutely. There's the dense screen and hedging method. With this one, you're encouraging thick foliage from the ground up by trimming strategically. It's like building a natural fence or sound barrier with your bamboo.
Now, that is what I call functional beautiful. Sounds like there's a pruning technique for every style. I did notice, though, that the sources mentioned something called clumping bamboo that needs a bit of special attention.
Ah, yes, clumping bamboo. The extrovert of the bamboo family always wants to be surrounded by its friends.
And just like with friends, sometimes you need a little space.
Exactly. This type, it's known for growing in incredibly dense clumps. So regular thinning is key. If you don't thin it out, it gets overcrowded, and that can actually stunt its growth and make it more prone to diseases.
It's like, if you don't prune your social calendar, things can get a little stifling. We've talked a lot about the aesthetic benefits of pruning, but are there actual health advantages for the plant itself, or is it mostly just about making it look pretty?
Honestly, it's a bit of both. All those pruning techniques we talked about, when you do them right, they actually make for healthier bamboo. We mentioned the air circulation thing earlier. That's huge. Getting rid of those overcrowded culms lets the air flow more freely, and that helps prevent those pesky fungal diseases.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Pruning can actually help the plant use its energy more efficiently. So you take away the weak or overcrowded culms, you're basically telling the bamboo, hey, focus on these healthy ones.
So it's like giving the healthy ones a boost of energy. Instead of spreading itself thin, it can, like, bulk up and thrive.
Exactly. And speaking of doing things right, those sources were really adamant about using sharp tools for a clean cut. It seems like such a small detail.
Oh, I bet it makes a world of difference. Like, have you ever tried to cut fabric with dull scissors?
Yeah,
It's a disaster. Everything's just like frayed and messy. I'm guessing it's the same idea with bamboo.
exactly. A clean cut, it lets the bamboo heal quickly, efficiently. But if you've got a raggedy cut from a dull blade, oof, that's just asking for trouble. Pests, diseases, you name it. It's like, the difference between a surgical incision and, well, something a lot less precise.
I'll stick with the surgical incision, thanks. So, sharp tools. Got it. Any other, like, pruning wisdom from the sources, things we might not think about?
One thing that often gets overlooked is just taking a moment to really observe your bamboo before going in.
Like, don't just charge in, shears blazing.
Right. Before you even pick up those shears, just look at it. What's the natural growth pattern? Are there super dense areas? Any individual culms that look kind of weak or unhealthy?
So it's like you're strategizing before you start snipping, scouting out the terrain.
Exactly. That little bit of observation, it'll help you prune with intention. You start to get a feel for which culms need to go, which ones need some space, that sort of thing.
Don't just go in hacking away willy-nilly. Have a vision, whether it's, improving the health, going for a certain look, or building that bamboo fortress we talked about.
Exactly. Those techniques we discussed, the thinning, the open grove, the dense screening, think of them as your artistic tools. You observe, you figure out your goal, and then you use those techniques to make it happen.
I like it. A whole palette of pruning possibilities. Now I'm picturing myself as, like, a bamboo artist. Got my sharp shears, my safety goggles, my master plan. But let's be real for a sec. What about those of us, and I'm not saying who maybe let things go a bit, like full-on bamboo jungle situation? Is there any hope?
Of course, even the most, shall we say, free-spirited bamboo can be brought back into line with a little TLC.
Oh, thank goodness. So for those of us who might be facing a bamboo jungle, where do we even start?
Slow and steady is the key. Don't try to do everything at once, You start by removing any culms that are dead, damaged, diseased. Those are the obvious ones.
Get rid of the dead weight first. Give the healthy ones a chance to shine.
Exactly. Then, once you've cleared out those problem areas, you can start thinking about thinning out crowded sections, shaping things up, and, really bringing your vision to life.
It's like those home renovation shows, but with bamboo. Amazing what a little strategic pruning can do.
Right. And just like with those renovations, patience is key. Bamboo, it takes its time to respond to pruning. But trust me, the results are worth it.
Playing the long game. I like it. Speaking of which, we've talked a lot about how to prune, but I'm curious, aside from the aesthetics and the plant health stuff, are there any other, like, long-term benefits to keeping our bamboo happy and well-maintained?
It's funny, when you think about it, by pruning our bamboo, we're not just like tidying it up. We're actually kind of shaping its destiny a little.
That's a great way to think about it. It's like this ongoing conversation you have with the plant, guiding it, helping it reach its full potential. And, that ties into some of the long-term benefits that the source has talked about.
Yeah, it really does change your whole perspective on bamboo, doesn't it? It's not just this like crazy fast-growing thing. It's more like a dynamic living being that actually responds to the care you give it.
Absolutely. And the benefits, they go way beyond just like how it looks. Think about the environmental impact a healthy bamboo stand can have. Right. I mean, it's already known for being eco-friendly. But how does pruning actually make it even better for the environment?
Well, bamboo is already amazing at taking carbon out of the air, like way better than a lot of trees. And when you prune it right, it grows even stronger, healthier, so it can absorb even more carbon over its lifetime.
Wow. So we're talking about like a super air purifier just by like trimming a few branches.
Exactly. It's all connected, And speaking of connected, have you ever noticed how when you've got a really well-maintained bamboo grove, it seems like it just attracts more life to the garden?
Now that you mention it, yeah. I always see more birds nesting in mine after I prune it. And more butterflies, too, it seems like.
It's true. It provides shelter, food, the whole deal. Creates a little haven for all kinds of creatures.
This deep dive has been a total eye-opener for me. I started out feeling a little intimidated by my bamboo, to be honest. But now I'm seeing it in a whole new light.
That's great to hear. And hey, remember, there's always something new to learn. Don't be afraid to experiment, try different techniques, find what works for you.
Exactly. Keep learning, stay curious, and most importantly, have fun with it. Who knew there was so much to discover in like a simple stalk of bamboo?
It really is remarkable stuff. So, to everyone listening, get out there, grab your pruning shears, and see what you can create.
At nourishingtapestry.store we have a large range of bamboo cutting boards. Thanks for watching. Check us out at nourishingtapestry.store. Like, subscribe.